Vice President Kamala Harris looks increasingly likely to secure the DNC nominee following the coveted endorsement from Michelle and Barack Obama. Now here to discuss is Lara Trump, co-chair of the RNC and daughter-in-law of former President Donald Trump. So Lara, the Democrats are changing out there their nominee. It's the 11th hour. So how is this going to affect Donald Trump in the campaign?
Yeah, it's really shocking. And by the way, you could not have two more different parties right now. You look at the Republican Party, and we're coming off of an incredible convention where I don't think you've seen unity like we have right now in the Republican Party in generations, quite frankly. And we know who our nominee is. We know who his running mate will be. You can't say that for the other side. In terms of what that means for us, look, our message, no matter if it was going to be Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, someone else they might plug in, we've heard a lot of names thrown around, obviously, is that we actually have the only candidate who has done the job of president of the United States and done it successfully. That is Donald J. Trump. We have to go out and continue to remind the American people about how much better off their life was with Donald Trump in the White House. If it does turn out to be Kamala Harris, shocking that we're here at the end of July and we don't know yet who the Democrats are actually running, despite the fact they had a primary and 14.5 million people voted for it to be Joe Biden. We have to remind people, too, this is Kamala Harris's policy just as much as it is Joe Biden's policy. She worked alongside Joe Biden. So every single decision that they made that has taken this country in the wrong direction, she owns. You see them trying to distance themselves from her as the borders are. Wonder why they would try to do something like that. Maybe because she epically failed at being the borders are. Maybe because you've seen 11 million plus people pour into this country illegally under her watch. They have a huge problem on their hands. As far as we're concerned from the Trump campaign, we are going to continue to go out, reach out to the people of this country and remind them how much better off they were with Donald Trump in that White House.
I know we want to get back to the Kamala story of the day, but first I want to ask you something that's in the background for so many people when it comes to the RNC in this next election and in our audience. They ask this every day. Where are we at in terms of election security, in your opinion, and the right, lawfare that we need on our side?
Yeah, it is the number one focus of the RNC. When Michael Whatley, the chairman, and I took over, we said, you know what? The RNC's tried to do too many things. We are going to pare that down. We're going to go bare bones, and we're going to focus on one thing, and that is election integrity. And we have pledged to have 100,000 volunteers all across this country. Yesterday, I was in Tampa, Florida with the chairman. We opened up an election integrity office there. Whenever ballots are being cast or ballots are being counted, we need to have people in the room, and we are pledging to do that everywhere it matters in this country. That means poll watchers, that means poll workers, that means legal experts on the ground who can identify a problem in the moment and not wait a day, a week, or a month later. We also have been asking for secretaries of state and state legislatures, make sure you have your voter rolls cleaned. States have been complying and doing that willfully, and where they don't do those sort of things or have, verification for ID on mail-in ballots, we go ahead and we present them with a nice little lawsuit. We have 96 lawsuits out right now to ensure that the rules of the road are set up and so that every American, no matter if you're voting for a Republican, Democrat, or third-party candidate, when you go cast a ballot in the United States of America, your vote matters, your vote counts. It is our number one focus, and we are very proud of the operation we have underway so far.
This week, we saw FBI Director Christopher Wray testify before Congress, and he was out there saying, we don't know if Donald Trump was shot with a bullet or not. And we've now since seen Donald Trump's doctors come out and say, yes, this is actually a bullet that went through. What's your response when you hear all of this?
I mean, honestly, obviously, I can look at it as an American citizen and think it's disgraceful. But as the daughter-in-law of this man, it's shameful. It's absolutely ridiculous. The idea that we're going to go ahead and pick apart something that nearly killed my father-in-law right now nationally is crazy. The fact that there's any question as to what happened there is honestly shocking. And I would like to see a little more focus and emphasis put on what happened and not exactly what happened with his ear. It's completely absurd, obviously. But I think it just goes back to the fact that there are so many people in this country who really, for whatever reason, have this adverse reaction to Donald Trump, and it doesn't seem like they can help themselves. We've also heard reports of people who say this whole thing was set up. This was a hoax. This didn't really happen. Someone died. People were injured, and my father-in-law nearly lost his life. It is disgusting whenever you hear things like this out there. Really shameful.
On Truth Social, Donald Trump said that he was going to announce his return to Butler, Pennsylvania for the rally honoring the souls of our beloved firefighter hero, Corey, and those brave patriots injured 2 weeks ago. What can you tell us about that? And what do you expect to see with him returning there?
Well, I knew before he announced this, and before we even discussed it, I knew that my father-in-law would want to go back to Butler, Pennsylvania, to go back and be with the people there in Butler. This is a man who doesn't shy away from anything. And a lot of people have questioned for a long time, well, who really is Donald Trump? What do we really know at the base of him and at his core? And you got your answer on July 13th on that stage when he stood up with his fist in the air, despite, yes, actually being shot by a bullet. And so the fact that he wants to go back there is not surprising to me at all. I can't tell you that much, but what I can tell you is that my father-in-law was changed, I believe, by this experience. I don't think anyone could go through something like this, nearly losing your life, and come out the same on the other side. And I think that, you're going to see that from now up until the end of this election from Donald Trump. And he really wants to go back and he wants to honor the people of Butler, Pennsylvania. He wants to honor Corey. He wants to honor the people who obviously were injured unnecessarily in this whole situation. And I think it's going to be a very emotional, very patriotic, and really beautiful rally.
Lara, your answer on what the RNC is doing right now is music to many ears, including this analyst. I love hearing what you're doing, exactly what should have been done a long time ago. So I think a lot of people are very grateful for that. But I want to take off the RNC hat and just speak to what you're talking about now as a member of the Trump family and bring up another question I think is on a lot of audience members' minds. We just published an article this week about suggesting that private security be brought in to protect Donald Trump in the future. Do you have any thoughts about that? Because I think a lot of people are thinking, how could you go out there again, given how egregious, some of this incompetence was? And of course, there's many incredible people in the Secret Service. But do you have any thoughts about possibly hiring outside consultants or bringing people in to ensure that Donald Trump remains safe throughout the season?
Well, I mean, look, if I'm being honest, I think this is something that those of us close to my father-in-law had worried about for a long time. It seems like there was nearly every attack leveled at this man, save for an assassination attempt up until July 13th. And that became an awful reality, obviously, for the entire world to see what happened there. And but for the grace of God, we wouldn't see him alive today, I believe. Look, I have such great respect and admiration, truly, for the men and women of the United States Secret Service. Eric and I had a Secret Service detail for 4 years. These are some of the most hardworking, incredible patriots you'll ever meet. And I think that they do their jobs very well. Now, at the top, I think clearly there was a lack of leadership, and I think that trickles down. I don't worry that the people on the ground with my father-in-law are doing their jobs, because I've seen them, and you saw those people jump on top of him, literally put themselves in between my father-in-law and an assassin, and you didn't know at that moment what else was out there. Was there another shooter out there? They risked their lives for him, and they were willing to give up their lives for him. So I have no doubt about their capabilities, and those people did their job exactly as they should have. We certainly needed a change in leadership at the top, and the fact that you didn't have the Secret Service director resigning immediately in the aftermath of this is shocking, I think, to a lot of people. Now that she's gone, and now that there's new leadership at the top, I really hope that that we see some changes, and I believe we will. And I believe this probably woke a lot of people up. So right now, I don't think there's a need for any extra security. I think that everybody understands what could happen because we saw it happen, and I believe they're taking it very seriously.